In the last step, we glued together the pins and made the pivot arms. Now we want to reinforce around those pins again. I want to carefully take off the little nubs, and I'm going to cut them with a knife before I snap them off, because I don't want to snap off in the wrong spot. So there was one. Hopefully you can see this. There's two. Here's number 3. So now it will fit into the tube really easily. And if you want, you can gently sand that edge. Okay, so I want to reinforce around the pins, and I don't want to use super glue for this. I want to use fix-it epoxy, and this is an epoxy clay, which means it's not going to wick around and move where we don't want it to go. And that's why I want to use this stuff and not regular epoxy. And I'm going to put on some rubber gloves. Whenever you use epoxy, you should probably use rubber gloves. If not, at least use the Happy Hands and give you some protection. Some people get sensitive to epoxy, an allergic reaction. Wearing gloves can really help. And I need just a pea-size amount, so I'm going to take a screwdriver and just grab a little bit. And I want equal parts of A and B. It doesn't look quite equal. That looks better. Okay, so now I'm going to mix that up. Just mix it by folding. Flatten it, fold it, flatten it, fold it. And you can do this for 5 minutes and it won't hurt. The longer the better, because then you're getting a good chemical reaction, a good mix. Okay, so I've mixed that really good, and we're going to put that over the top of the pins. I'm going to get my glasses out because this is a little bit, you know, if you've gotten to this point, you've got some really good manual dexterity. A lot of people, this would be really hard. So if you've gotten this far, you're doing great. So what I'm going to do is I want to put it on the edge like that, and I want to smoosh it in without getting any on the pin. And the nice thing is that the epoxy is not going into the crevice on that pin. Helps to have a magnifying glass. This is very small. Hopefully I'm not covering this up with my head. Okay, so I'm still on the top side because there's my little T for top. Oh, see, this one just popped out. See, this is why I'm doing this. Okay. So this pin popped out, so I'm going to use my trick that I did the last time. Put some super glue down. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit of the accelerator. Okay, save the day. Okay, so now that's the top side. I want to do the same thing to the bottom side. I want to put epoxy clay over those pins to lock them down. So I'm just getting a little ball, smashing it on the pin and just trying to smooth it out. Doesn't have to look pretty. No one's ever gonna, well, somebody might look at this and they'll be really impressed how much work you did. So now to loosen them up, just kind of wiggle them back and forth. That kind of pushes the epoxy out of the way so that it can still freely rotate. Okay, like that. Now this epoxy takes 24 hours to fully cure, but we can continue on even in this state like this. Okay. We're going to take our little aluminum tube that we made previously, and I'm going to put it through the hole just ever so carefully, like that. So remember, this is our top. There's my little T right there. So that it goes through the top, and it just comes out the back just ever so slightly. And now I want to make sure that it's perpendicular to the tube, so I'm going to take my graphite rod, put this through, and give it a little spin. And mine, it looks pretty good, but if yours is not, you have to wiggle this back and forth to get it to be perpendicular. Be very careful. Until that epoxy cures, it's going to be, those pins could still pop off. All right, so I like it the way it is. I still have my super glue here on my plastic, so I'm going to take and put it around the pin. Let me get a little bit more. I'm going to do both sides. Okay, make sure that none of these pivots have got glue on them. And then I can spray it. Spray both sides, and that will lock that super glue in place. I'm just wiping that off just ever so slightly. Uh-oh, got one that's glued. There we go. Yep, make sure that they're rotating. Okay, so I'm going to pause here, and then we'll come back and we'll continue with the assembly of the hub.